إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين. إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Ibadah, or acts of worship from head to toe. How to increase our iman, how to perfect our iman, and how to live our life according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. It's easy to say that the purpose of our life is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. But what is that in the reality of our life? How can we use every single part of our bodies to fulfill this purpose? This is the subject that we need to have the knowledge of, and then we need to have the patience to fulfill it. No matter how much details we will talk about it, still in general, we need to spend more time and to understand the different acts of worship and how to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the different parts of our bodies. And we need to spend the time to be patient to fulfill these acts of worship and to use the different parts of our bodies for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to the way of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're still talking about the tongue, this amazing organ, this amazing muscle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created for us for great purpose, and that is to establish the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We talk, and either we talk of what is good or we talk of what is evil. And we need to get to know that so that we do the things that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to stay away from what is evil that will take us away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we heard before that a word, one word, can be the reason for a person to fall into the hellfire for 70 years. And also one word can be enough for the person to be elevated in Jannah for many, many levels. All of that because of the tongue, this amazing muscle that we need to make sure that it doesn't say anything but what is good. We talked about some of the things that are good that we need to do with our tongues, reciting the Kur'an, enjoining good, forbidding evil, and many, many different things. Now we need to talk about some of the evil things that we need to avoid speaking and talking about it, and to have the patience not to say what is evil, what displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there are so many. When it comes to the problems that we have with our tongues, is of two categories. The first category is to say what is evil, with different examples. The other thing is to conceal the truth. Concealing the truth, although it's negative act, the person is not saying anything, but this is an evil act, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to speak the truth. So in a situation, in a state, when it is mandatory for the person to say the truth and he conceal the truth, then definitely this is an evil crime. Concealing the truth can be of two different types. Whether a person would distort the truth and say the opposite of it, right? Saying things to distort the truth, or a person would not say anything altogether. And they're both evil. And this is something that is condemned in the Qur'an. And this is something also that would lead the person to the hellfire, because our job on the face of earth is to say what is right, and to be brave to say what is right, and not to be scared from speaking the truth and making sure that the truth is conveyed to the people. Otherwise we are responsible for the actions of those who are deceived by our own speech and actions. When it comes to the evil things to be said by the tongue, there are so many of them. Let's take some of these examples so that we protect our tongue from what is evil. And the only person that would be successful in guarding one's tongue from saying what is evil are those who would do that only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. One of the most dangerous evil acts that a person would say and would use his tongues in achieving, that is al-qawlu ala Allahi bila ilm. When a person would speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowledge. We know that speaking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it has to be from wahy, revelation from Allah. After the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we have the Qur'an and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We don't say about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except we know for sure that this is in the Qur'an or in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Qur'an as a crime that comes among set of crimes that this is the worst of them. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, قُلْ إِنَّمَا حَرَّمَ رَبِّيَ الْفَوَاحِشَ مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَمَا بَطَنَ وَالْإِثْمَ وَالْبَغْيَ بِغَيْرِ الْحَقِّ وَأَن تُشْرِكُوا بِاللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ سُلْطَانًا وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. This is mentioned in the order of what is less to what is the worst, although there are sins. But it starts with al-fawahish, with sins, right? Whether it's openly or inwardly. And sins and transgression, when it comes also to matters of sins, and to associate partners with Allah, and we see how it's going into that order. Associating partners with Allah, the shirk, is the most dangerous crime that can ever be committed on the face of earth. The worst sin can ever be committed. A sin that is not forgivable whatsoever if a person dies in that state. But then after the shirk, there is another crime is being mentioned. And that is the subject. وَأَن تَقُولُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. That you would speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowledge. This is mentioned in a category that is worse than shirk. Worse than associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And how can a person fall into this major sin? Is by using the tongue. Saying about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowledge. Whether it's matters, of course, matters of the religion. And this is something also mentioned in the Quran. وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَا تَصِفُ أَلْسِنَتُكُمُ الْكَذِبِ هَذَا حَلَالٌ وَهَذَا حَرَامٌ لِتَفْتَرُوا عَلَى اللَّهِ الْكَذِبِ. That do not say with your tongue, this is halal and this is haram. This is permissible and this is not permissible based on your desires and not based on revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That the great and the severe warning is for those who would spread lies and talks about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, lying and not saying the truth when it comes to talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can a person have good intentions and still say lies about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yes. It doesn't just come with evil intentions. It's not just for those who are evil wants to say bad things about the creator of the heavens and the earth. It also comes from the believers. A person loves the religion of Islam, but without knowledge. And he wants to attract people to the deen of Islam. And he wants to talk to them about the deen of Islam. He would say lies. He would say, if you read this surah, if you recite this surah, for example, you will get that much rewards. And he doesn't know if what he's saying is right or wrong. He heard it somewhere. He's not sure that this is from the way of the Prophet ﷺ. This can fall into that same category. That's why when we talk about the religion of Islam, we have to make sure that either we have the knowledge or to convey what the people of the knowledge say with the authentic proofs, of course, from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. There are so many things that are being spread all over the world, and it's so easy now to spread anything with the different media and the different mediums that people would use to convey many different thoughts and ideas and so on. And it's so easy just to type something and to hit enter, and it goes far away distances that many millions of people can see it and can read it, can be affected by it. And many people, they don't consider this as part of the religion or something that they will be asked about it in the Day of Judgment. It's such a dangerous thing. You would find people sending emails, even not something that is sinful, that can be very obviously known that it's a sin, something that can sound very good. A hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Long hadith, short hadith, and a person would spread it and to send it to all the people that he knows without making sure that this is truly the words of the Prophet ﷺ. A person is responsible. And the Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, and this hadith is mutawatir, that means there is no doubt about it whatsoever. Many people have reported the hadith from one level to the other. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man kadhaba alayya muta'ammidan falyatabawwa miq'adahu min an-nar." Which means whoever lies against me, lying, saying something about the Prophet ﷺ that is not true, he should prepare himself for a position, a place in the hellfire, which means that he or she are among the people of the hellfire. Why? Because they lied. They said something that is not true about the Prophet ﷺ, saying a hadith that is not true, and so on and so forth. So this is definitely a very dangerous crime, a very dangerous thing for a person to speak about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or to speak about the deen of Islam without knowledge. And also gives us the responsibility that we don't convey anything unless we know for sure that this is the truth, that this is the way of the Prophet ﷺ, that this is how the people of knowledge, they interpreted the verses of the Quran or the sayings of the Prophet ﷺ. As a result of this evil act, that many people might not consider it as an evil act, That's why so many innovations in the religion, they spread among the Muslims. Why? Because of this. People would invent things in matters of the religion. It is okay to invent things in materialistic and physical knowledge, chemistry, physics, this and that. There's no harm. But when it comes to the deen of Islam, that we receive it by the wahy revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's not for us to say, I like this or I don't like this. And I would invent an act of worship so that people are attracted to the Qur'an, or a way to recite the Qur'an, or a way to make dhikr. This is all evil acts, even though it sounds good. Imagine someone would tell the people, pray dhuhr 5 rak'ah, because you recite more Qur'an, you make more dua. This person is evil. He's changing in the religion of Islam. The same concept, in any act of dhikr, in anything, whether it's halal or haram, we have to follow the way of the Prophet ﷺ, and to follow his way and to be away from innovations in the religion. So just to make it easy and simple, because the subject is very comprehensive, before we say anything, before we do any act, we need to ask ourselves the question. If it's for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and is this according to the way of the Prophet ﷺ? It's a valid question to ask the people of knowledge. Ask the people of knowledge in your locality. Are we doing this according to the way of the Prophet ﷺ? And either the person would say, out of his knowledge, or he would bring you the evidence. But this is your right as a Muslim, to make sure that you follow the Prophet ﷺ in every single and every act and every speech and so on and so forth. And that's why speaking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has to be with knowledge and not based on ignorance. And this is a major crime, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from that. One of the diseases that comes in the tongue that we need to cure ourselves and to stay away from. We continue inshallah ta'ala with some of the things to prevent ourselves from saying with our tongues, so that we receive the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل إن صلاتي